Welcome back to Truck Tech, everyone. This week, we're coming to you from the Volvo Trucks Customer Center in Dublin, Virginia, where we're going to start what will be a recurring series on the new VNL, the new truck that Volvo says is designed to change everything. We're going to speak today with Chris Stadler, who is the product manager for the new trucks, and also get into kind of a high-level look at what happens to the development of this truck, which really did take about 7 years. They even started on this one before the current truck came out in 2017. So we'll get into that with Chris today. First, just a few headlines. You know, it's interesting that over at Nikola, the folks have finally sort of dropped the pretense about not saying unkind things about Trevor Milton. He put up a group of alternative board candidates, and Nikola said, no, thank you. We don't want your candidates, and we really don't want you either. Of course, Milton has been convicted and is awaiting the reporting date on a 4-year prison sentence for his fraud convictions. But Nikola is not fooling around anymore in terms of what they think of what he's up to. I think they'd like him to just go away. Mack Trucks over in Roanoke, Virginia last week broke ground on a expansion of their new medium-duty diesel and electric trucks. Interestingly enough, they're spending more money on the expansion than they did when they got back into the medium-duty business in 2020. They're actually investing $14.5 million over in Roanoke. And finally, we are back to it again in California over the idea of banning autonomous trucks. The Teamsters and legislators that sort of got their head handed to them when Governor Gavin Newsom vetoed the bill last year called AB 316, which would have banned autonomous trucks, heavy-duty trucks, from California freeways. They reintroduced legislation on Monday. They're going to give it another try. We'll see what happens this time. Okay, let's take some time now and spend our time with Chris Stadler. Welcome back to Truck Tech, everyone. You know, this time we are with Chris Stadler. Chris is the product marketing manager for long haul of Volvo Trucks North America. Behind us, you can see what his latest project has been, and this one is 7 years or maybe even a little longer in the making, and that is the Volvo VNL, the new one. And we're going to talk a little bit on the high level today about this truck, because you've done a fair amount of talking thus far, but this truck is, you call it changing everything. I'm going to leave that in the marketing world, but I'm going to ask you sort of, what am I looking at here? This is a pretty big deal.
Yes, so we like to call it designed to change everything, because we feel like this new platform that we bring out with all new Volvo VNL is designed to change everything, and we've basically taken it from the ground up. Over 90% of this truck is new to the market and new to the truck platform itself. So everything on here has been redesigned, repurposed, specifically designed to support better efficiency, bring more value to our customers.
You've done a number of things, and there's a lot of things we can get into in the next few minutes, but let's start with something that might be a bit of a carryover from the car industry, and that is packages, the way you are bringing this to market in terms of how you're allowing the truck to be spec'd.
Yes, so packages has been something, it's not new to the market. I think there's been packages out there, but it's been more, the trucking industry over the many years that's been out there has been more of a, I guess, pick your own product, pick your products on your trucks, pick it from the tires to the engine and to maybe the seats that you want inside the truck. And what we've seen is, as the generations have changed and the technology has changed, that we saw an opportunity to start maybe bundling those things together, helping the customer have more value in their truck, but also help them save time and money to building those trucks. Because when you get into a la carting, as we like to say, it takes a lot of time, and it takes a long process of picking out every component for those trucks, because there's quite a bit of components on these trucks.
Well, I can think of all kinds of savings. I have some background in the car business, as I mentioned, and I think that, you know, the idea of build combinations, things like that in the plant, I mean, that's something that benefits Volvo, it benefits your throughput and your efficiency. For the customer, is it a bigger education job to get them to the idea of packages?
I don't think it's a bigger education. I think it's more of how they see it working together. The thing we did, and we looked at several areas of packaging. We looked at in powertrain, we looked at it in safety, and we're bringing those packages in those two areas, but also in connectivity and uptime, so services and warranties that can support them. But along with that, we have interior trim levels and exterior trim levels that we kind of bundle pieces together, so they don't have to worry about picking that grille, that air intake, or those mirrors. It's all put together as one package and one bundle. That way it saves them time and money when it comes to ordering the product. You don't have to worry about picking each one.
You obviously testing this out with fleet managers and so forth. What kind of reaction did you get?
Yeah, so in the beginning, I mean, we started this process back in 2016. Started putting this truck together, designing it, looking at ways to help our customers even better on their job and be more efficient, more supporting their applications, their operations. So we started this back in 2016. And the thing we did is we had driver clinics, customers come in and look at the product, see what works for them, what they would like to have on their trucks. We did driver surveys to, what do drivers want? How's it makes their life better, make them more productive? We started to put all that information together and looked at things that could make sense for the drivers, make sense for their operations, for the customers, and support them, down the road.
Packaging, though, speaks to the idea of, do you allow deletes and things like that from the packages? If I say I really don't want this particular thing, I can delete something? Or?
We did put some flexibility in the packages. We wanted to make sure that the challenging thing with packaging is what makes sense, right? What's important to me as a customer, brings value to me. So we looked at things where we have individual components today, and we said, okay, where did these pieces made where people would like to have them on every truck? For example, maybe floor mats. They may want rubber floor mats more often in the trucks. And we looked at bundling those things together they select quite often, and then putting them together with other things that they may not know about. We take the industry today, how much it's changed, and I always make the rear view mirror, the rear view camera in your car, showing how it wasn't there many years ago. We've been driving for a long period of time, and people are like, I don't need rear view camera. I got my door mirrors. I can see out the back. I can see whatever I need to do my driving. But when we got those cameras in the cars, right, it was like, man, that's really great. I don't know how I could live without one. And that's what we try to do as well. We take things that they want in their trucks and then put them together with some new features. And that way, when we get them introduced to that new feature, then they might see more value of having those all together.
Let's talk about video camera systems for just a minute, because I'm kind of familiar with it. And it's interesting that, at this moment, you can't really order it on a new truck. You get it as an aftermarket thing. It's coming.
Yes.
Right? I mean, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is going to get it through, I think, at some point soon enough. But right now, it's a retrofit. But do you expect that these will, those are 50-inch mirrors working out up there, right?
Yes, they have an impact on your aerodynamics, that's for sure. But the camera systems have actually been coming more and more on the trucks, even in production and through production ordering. Today on the safety systems, you have driver forward camera monitoring as well for your safety systems. And now they've started to introduce driver facing cameras inside the cab. We also have on our trucks is backup cameras. So they are actually fully integrated into the trucks. So that when a driver orders infotainment, or even now in our new trucks, you can actually see it in your instrument cluster. When they put it in reverse, a backup camera pops up and shows them where they're backing up into their trailer. Maybe they have good clear view of vision there. We also have the capabilities on this truck is to add additional cameras. So we can actually add up to 6 more cameras on the truck along with the backup camera.
It's interesting when you talk about, because the first thing I think of in backing up the truck is damageability. You bump into things a lot. It happens. And, the trailers take the hit. And,
and that's the great thing as well, that with the technology, it's advancing so well. Digital cameras, analog cameras, they keep continuing to advance in technology. We had the capabilities to even connect it even to the trailer so they basically can see also behind the trailers when they back up. In the screen next to them on the drive.
It's part of your safety packaging too, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, the idea being that you're going to be a little safer with greater visibility. Obviously you've got some safety equipment on here that, goes from 0 all the way down to 0 in terms of slowing down.
Yeah, so we have what we call Volvo Active Driver Assist, which is more or less our forward mitigation, collision mitigation system. And what it does is detects certain distance out in front of the vehicle and gives them the driver's alerts to let them know there's an object in front of the vehicle. And this is our own proprietary system, by the way. We're going to introduce it on our all-new Volvo VNL. It's just on our own system. We're not relying on a third-party supplier today.
So this isn't like Wingman or anything
No,
like
this
that?
is nothing of the Bendix solution. It's now our own proprietary system.
Because you were with Bendix previously,
Yes,
right?
that's correct. Our models has the Bendix fusion system on it.
Right, right.
But so tomorrow on our new Volvo VNL, it's going to be our own proprietary system, which allows us to have that technology in-house and also helps us to fully integrate it into our trucks. And with that system, it's going to come with like the forward collision mitigation, which will give them alerts for certain spacing. It gives adaptive cruise control capabilities, gives them where the driver can keep that appropriate distance with their speeds with the vehicles in front of them. It also gives them alerts, automatic emergency braking in case they don't have time to, they don't have time to react in time with the alerts, but it automatically shut down the truck. And from 55 miles in, it can bring the truck to a stop. If they're above that speed limit, it'll start to slow the vehicle down, and then it may help prevent a severe collision if possible.
Sure.
But right now, it's about 55 miles or less.
Before we leave safety, the reason for having your own proprietary system, there's some pretty good systems out there now, and some of the dock competition's been working on it for a while.
Yeah.
Where does the value come from having your own? Just you can continue to improve it and tweak it?
Yes, I think that's the great thing about our technology is that being integrated in our system, we can adjust it to our trucks. When just like our powertrain proprietary, having that integration between the transmission and the engine and the other components that go on the truck, it gives that our engineers the capabilities to work together. When you have a separate system in there from a third-party supplier, yes, you can have that good relationship with the supplier, but it may make more of a challenge to have that full integration into the truck. And I think this allows us to have that fully integration of safety. And as the technology, as we know, probably in the last 5 to 10 years, it's rapidly improved. It allows us to continue to have that technology added to the truck and being part of our core safety area.
Last thing we're talking about before we do a little walk around here is the idea that this truck, or this chassis anyway, is the future of sort of everything. Now today we wouldn't necessarily see an electric version of this truck because we're not really, the infrastructure isn't there for it. The batteries aren't dense enough to have enough energy to go long haul distances. But this does have meaning for autonomy, which you're doing with Aurora.
Yes.
Innovation. And maybe you talk about that in terms of kind of the platform aspect of this truck.
Yes, so this truck, again, with the efforts that we put into designing this truck, putting components on the truck, 24-volt electrical architecture that we put in the truck, will help us support that next generation of vehicles. Battery electric, fuel cell, hydrogen, autonomous, all that's going to be part of this platform in the future. So we'll use this truck as the base of that platform for future technologies. The
24-volt is especially interesting because you're the first to go there, I think. Maybe in Europe they have some of that, I don't know. But,
yes, it's
but not here. I mean, no one hears anywhere beyond a 12-volt. The 24-volt system does a lot for you in terms of idling and things like that. You can run a lot of things off of the 24-volt system without sort of churning a lot more.
Yeah, it's more efficient. So you think of it like they say it's higher voltage, but less amperage. So that means less wear and tear on those electrical components. And we see that's an advantage, and also we can bring more efficient alternators, any other components that are 24 volts. And it gets us to the next level. Also with the 24-volt electric architecture, electrical architecture, it's easy for me to say, but that it allows us to pinpoint and diagnose certain areas much quicker. And we don't have to repair a whole electrical harness, for example. We can basically pinpoint the exact area where the problem is, pull out that wiring harness and change it out. And it doesn't impact it as much as, say, a long margin. We have the long harness, but it allows us to do more pinpointing and analyzing and then getting more information on what's going on with the vehicle.
Well, I know that's true for powertrain because of some of the work that can be done where you can just go after certain things in the after treatment system, for example.
Yes.
They can go after that, and we'll be talking to Dwayne Siegels about that in the future. But it's interesting. Maybe we could just have you point out a few things. Let's take a little walk over here. Maybe there was a few things that are special about the truck that you want us to know.
Well, the great thing about this, of course, is the air. I mean, what you first see when you see this truck is the aerodynamics. I mean, with the wedge-shaped design of the hood, basically, you can see it's part of the wedge shape that takes the wind, basically cuts the wind from the front roof and connects the wind to the side of the vehicle so we can see all the lines of the truck going down the line on the side of the truck. The aerodynamic roof line, we got the slope windshield carrying on into the roof line. There's no sun visor anymore, so we got the lights fully integrated into the roof line. And it, again, connects that wind and carries it onto the back of the truck. And that's the aerodynamics. So really, what you see right here in the front is the prime example of the all-new Volvo VNL. LED headlamps here with daytime running lamps that basically have the integration of the flashers into the lights, all LED. It's also heated, so they don't have any problems with frosting. It's got a heat ventilation coming behind the screen here to help keep it heated up so it don't get iced over in wintertime events. All these vents here are purposely designed. If it was to pop the hood, which we don't have time today, but you can see that these air vents go into purposely designed, keeping the engine equipment cool. Because as we see here, we shrunk wrap this hood pretty much very tight in the engine compartment. And so we've had to purposely design the grille. We can make much larger, better airflow into it when we want to utilize that wind for more efficiency. And it's also purposely vented on the underside of this hood, which we can show more later on. Is that it goes down to the engine compartments, keeps the engine cooled and efficient, but also at the same time as you come over here, the heat comes out the exhaust tube. So then you're able to ventilate all the excess heat that comes from the engine compartment.
You know, I think it was just at ATA when you showed the super trucks too.
Yes.
I'm seeing some similarities here. There's some carryovers.
Yes. So the great thing is from Super Truck 1 and to Super Truck 2 is we took a lot of the learnings we learned from both of those trucks and utilized it into the design of this truck. So yes, they were very important to help us get to where we are on the all-new Volvo VNL.
I see closeouts. These are,
Yes.
there's hardly any room down here. I mean, except what you need, right?
Yes, it's very tight in here, but then again, you want to keep that wind resistance from accumulating into the front tire area. So this is more of a hard design, but we've actually even looked at the purposely design of the wheel closeouts to make sure they're flexible. So when you see a truck on the road today and you get up next to this one, it's a reference truck, so you can't really get a good feel of it, but they actually have more of a rubber gasket to it, so it has some flexibility. So yeah, it's very tight, but we designed it to where it's not going to wear into the tire or have any problems with any type of accumulation of debris or anything like that. So it's easily accessible. The other great thing I'd like to point out down here, if we can move back here, is that we have cornering lamps involved with our integrated with our fog lamps. With the cornering lamps, what that allows us is the drivers at a slow speed and they take a right turn or a left turn, these lights will light up to the angle side of here, giving that
Is
nice.
that a European thing? Don't they do that in Europe? Is that...
Actually, that's been done on the cars, and it's basically carried over into the technology of trucks as well.
So we've got some steps that are a little different than the current truck. Why don't you explain what we're looking at here?
Yeah, so with this new design, we basically developed an ingress and egress step configuration that, along with supporting from an aerodynamic standpoint, but it also helps the driver be able to easily step up into the vehicle. And much wider footprint for them to get up into the side of the truck. The other great thing is about this side of the vehicle is the chassis fairing. Now they will have one handle release of the chassis fairing, so allowing the driver to easily inspect their trucks, or even the service managers to get inside, or service technicians to get inside and take the chassis fairing off easier and close the engine as well. Another thing I'd like to point out is the radar here. This is our right-hand blind spot radar, or what we call lane change support radar. And what this does is allows to gives that more extended radar conversion when it comes to safety. It'll actually extend out in front of the vehicle a little bit further than before. Typically, we go down up to the front. Now this goes out a little bit further in front of the truck. But it also broadcasts all the way back behind the trailer. A 53-foot trailer will be able to pinpoint, be able to get that radar coverage all the way back there. So that's a great thing to have. Well, it's extended coverage for that lane change support when they worry about cars coming up.
That gets us back to safety.
Yeah, back to safety. There's a lot of things on this truck that we can talk about, but it gets back to safety.
Now, we do have to talk for just a minute about GRAS.
Global rear air suspension.
Yeah, there you go. Why don't you, in layman's terms, please, give us what we need to know about that.
Well, the global rear air suspension, or as we like to call GRAS, it's been designed actually over in Europe. It's a rear air suspension in Europe, and it's an 8 airbag air suspension when you get a 6x4. And with that, it also has shock absorbers and torque rods that basically allows the suspension to sit down, versus most of the time when you have it's a non-torque reactive suspension. So then when it settles down, so it basically hugs the road, sort of like a racing suspension in a car. You know how when you put your foot on the throttle, it feels like it sits down like that same type of suspension kind of sits down into the, and what it does is it no matter what payload, it's going to feel the same way every time, whether you're fully loaded or unloaded. It's not going to have that bouncing configuration, but it also will help with wear and tear on the components. With all the airbags and all the shock absorbers and the torque rods it has on it, it's going to have less vibration. It's going to be much more comfortable of a ride for the drivers, but also be more efficient for the drivers where they don't have to worry about maneuver.
When you say airbags, I think airbags like that come out. That's not what you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about like there's airbags about this high sit on the back of the chassis.
Okay.
And between the chassis and the suspension components. Okay. So they're basic. That's what an air suspension is. It's just really pretty much airbags.
Someone said, I can't remember exactly what it was, that this sort of drives more like an SUV. Is that a fair thing, or is it hyperbole?
Well, I think what you'll see is it is much more comfortable. Not only from the rear air suspension, we've done actually front suspension, a longer leaf suspension in the front, and a stabilizer bar that helps with the rocking of the vehicle, especially when you get this type of big large sleeper that you've got a lot of side winds you've got to deal with. And when you're making that maneuver, you sometimes feel like it's rocking on you. So we have much longer leaf springs in the front that will help with the maneuvering and stability and comfort. We also have an engine mount suspension, which are bushings inside the engine that support the engine and keeps the vibration and noise from coming up in the engine area. We have a new cab suspension as well on this truck. So all those four areas are basically supporting that driver and letting it drive very comfortably.
Let's take a look inside.
Okay, sounds good. We have a new gear shifter stalk. So typically we would have it in the dash or on the seat. In this new VNL, we're actually going to install it on the steering column. So as you can see here, you have your positions of drive, neutral, and reverse. You have your engine brake here, which is on this area right here. You have your mode of type of performance or efficiency economy modes. And then also you can actually change gears manually by pushing this button on the side. And then you can push or pull the stalk forward or backwards to change gears, to shift gears up and down.
So this is all basically made for efficiency for the driver, less activity in terms of reaching down, reaching out, that sort of thing.
Yes, it actually helps them keep their hands on the wheel, because everything we've actually put in, we have the controls on the steering wheel, as you can see here. They can do their menus to see what driver information is going on. They can work their radio. On this side, if you want to scroll over that side, yeah, you can see that you got cruise control. They can set their cruise control. They can set your engine brake cruise as well. All these features at their fingertips, so they don't have to worry about working the controls over here in the instrument. And
you have what, three engine brake settings? Is that right?
No, we have your off position. You have your A position for automatic, so you set that when you're in your cruise area. Mm-hmm. Then you have 1 level, 2 level, 3 level, which is 30%, 50%, and 70% of engine braking. And then the B level is just a full 100% engine brake, and it actually downshifts your gears.
Okay, so let's take a look. I'm going to spin around here, and I want you to show me the bed, because this is where we get into the Murphy bed look. I don't know how well this is going to work in a prototype, but maybe you can sort of...
So this is our Murphy bed, so it's a foldable bed. And what that allows is the driver, when they're done for their night of sleeping or resting, they can actually lift this bed up, like so, and fold it up onto the main wall up here. And actually on the back side of this bed is a dinette, so they can actually fold out a dinette and actually sit back here and maybe do their paperwork, do their eat their dinner, have a nice relaxing without having to get inside the bed.
And you said you don't have to make your bed anymore, because you just roll it up.
Exactly. You can actually just keep it like it is and just fold it up into the wall.
All right, now I'm just rolling up to the top here. This is a pretty good standing. I mean, you can be very tall and do quite well in here. This is your 860 VNL. This is your top of the line, right?
Yeah, this is our flagship, the VNL 860, which is our high roof sleeper, and it's a 74-inch sleeper.
Okay, very good.
And the great thing is we also taken over here, this is the refrigerator that comes with it, a much larger size refrigerator. And then on this side is a wardrobe. So we've actually switched it around. On today's truck, the refrigerator's on this side behind the driver.
So when we talk about that 24-volt system, it also supports these things. Is that right?
Yeah. So most of your components still inside the truck are 12 volts. So we do have a converter that takes it down from 24 volts to 12 volts.
Okay.
The other great thing about this is on the back wall up here, if you can focus in up here where my hand is. You see that okay?
Got your hand. There we go.
Okay. So now another great thing is you'll see a lot in the trucks out there today is if they have an APU or they have a heater, they may have multiple controls on the back wall. With our Volvo truck today, I mean the all-new Volvo VNL, is that we've integrated the systems all into one control panel. So they can operate their heater, their air conditioning unit, their radio, they can lock their doors, they can also have an alarm, they have their lighting capabilities in this truck, all the touch of the fingers right on one control panel.
Very good. All right, well, Chris, I think that's a good look at the inside until people can actually get in it themselves.
Yes, sir.
But I really do appreciate your time showing us the inside here. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you for having me.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. A little more technical perhaps than we get to sometimes on Truck Tech. But, there is so much technology involved in the current products, the new products that are coming out, that we really need to take the time to understand them. And that's what we started today. We'll have another episode next month with the powertrain packaging and some of the things that have gone into powertrain changes in the VNL here on Truck Tech. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.